Hey guys, welcome to a very special segment of Around the Emirates with Sara. I have a fellow podcaster here that I wanted to invite onto the show so I can talk about podcasting stuff with him. Hi, Anthony.
Hello, Sarah. Thank you for having me on. I'm glad we finally got to do this. I mean, you pulled out enough times.
I'm sorry that I have a life and I can't be online till 3 a.m. your time.
You know what? I'm a bit of a night owl and I have a bit of a crazy schedule. And we weren't able to make it happen, but here we are. No one was gonna pull out today.
Exactly.
So,
We're committed to this and we're doing it. So tell everyone what your podcast handle is.
At Weird Crew Podcast.
And where are you based?
Atlanta, Georgia, and my amazing co-host Cynthia is in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, your co-hosts are in two different cities?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How do you make that work?
I don't know. We're really good friends and we love each other and we make it work.
Like, is it always virtual is my point?
Yes. Well, mostly, but we have done in person because, I'm a flight attendant, so I fly around all the time. So I'm in Cynthia City. Cynthia's sometimes here and, we get together and, we do live stuff too. And, things for the podcast. Cynthia's actually coming down next week. So I'm sure we'll do some stuff then too. So
that sounds awesome. So you said you're a flight attendant, right? That's your day job.
Yeah, me and Cynthia both.
Oh, so is that how you met?
Out of respect for Cynthia, I'm not gonna say how we met, but I will answer that. I mean, it's not crazy. I don't want y'all to start thinking something crazy. It's not, but I'll tell you off the air. All right.
Gotcha. Okay,
All right.
so what made you decide to start this podcast?
Well, you might not have known this, but in 2020 there was like a global pandemic.
No, really? I had no idea.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy. And before the pandemic happened, I was in the best shape of my life, both physically and mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And I had came a long way. And I was like peak Anthony at that point. And then the pandemic happened and it kind of just turned me upside down. Kind of like didn't know if I was going to have a job, what was going to happen. I went from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows immediately. Gyms shut down, restaurants shut down.
Yeah.
My job was just like, I'm stuck in a hotel room, like with the door closed and like everything that I thought, it was going to be wasn't. And so I got thrown out of my rhythm. I put on some pounds. I mean, like everyone,
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone. I'm sure some people took it.
Yeah, everyone had their struggles.
Everyone had their struggles, but I had put on some pounds. I had started to dip into depression again. And I was like, all right, well, you know what? How about I start a podcast? Because I wanted to start a podcast for the longest time and I never did. You know why? For the silliest reason. Because I didn't know what I was going to talk about.
That's such a dumb reason. Way out of that.
Yeah. And how you find your way out of that is just literally turn on the microphone or turn on the camera and just start talking and then put it out there and then learn from that and grow from that. And that's kind of how it started. Me and Cynthia talked about doing a podcast. Actually, Cynthia did a podcast before that was on Anchor and it was flight attendant based podcast. It was called Jet Lag Crew, which is still her handle, Jet Lag Crew.
Gotcha.
And anyway, it just never took off the way she wanted. She really didn't have like any direction, like in terms of like which way she wanted to go with it. And she kind of fell off podcasts and I knew she wanted to get back into it. And I wanted to start doing it. And we're like BFFs. So we just decided, you know what? We got nothing else going on in the pandemic. Let's start this podcast. Let's have something to focus on. Let's plant this seed. Let's water it. Let's see where it goes. I didn't know if I was going to be good at this thing. I didn't know if Cynthia was going to be good at this thing, but we just wanted to see. And so we started podcasting. And man, I got to be honest, people are kind of fans of us. I don't get it. I think I'm kind of lame, but people like what we do. And so it's just really cool to believe in yourself and put something out there and then just get all this positive feedback. I mean, even if you're getting negative feedback, if you believe in what you do, keep on doing it. You know what I mean? Block it out. But getting all that positive feedback and all those positive reviews and, the criticism that we have gotten has just been constructive and out of love. And I didn't know I was going to be good at this thing. Still don't know if I'm good at this thing, but people enjoy what we do and I'm having fun. And so as long as that's the case, I don't plan on stopping.
That's very interesting how you started off kind of picking yourself up, so to speak. Like there's nothing else to do in the pandemic. I mean, it's inspiring how you channeled that energy into something that, even if it didn't specifically have like a goal at the end of it, it was just for you, like in terms of your own therapy, like a goal, a project for you to focus on.
It was exactly what I needed at the time, to be honest with you. And it still is. So
yeah, of course. I mean, it's part of your personality. It's part of you. Like this is something you voluntarily do. This isn't something that anyone else needs to approve or anyone else needs to kind of be aware of. This is purely just you as Anthony doing something for fun. And I'm kind of the same thing. So one of the reasons that I have this podcast is because in another life, I would have been like, like a talk show host, radio. But my life took me towards communications and PR, which I love. But it's nice to have something that's for me, something that I control. I don't need to, get anyone else's sign off to do it for myself. And you meet a lot of really cool people by doing it. And the one thing that I'm trying to do is, while I have fun doing it, I'm going to raise awareness for stuff. So the people I interview are like people that are experts and people that have something important to share, something important to talk about. So mental health, struggling with jobs in the pandemic, female entrepreneurs. It's people learning from them as much as, they're laughing with me, they're also learning with me, which I think is something chill, something fun, just like this.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite parts about podcasting is talking to and interviewing people, because, growing up and even now, like I see, radio hosts and, TV hosts interview people. And I'm like, that was such a stupid question. Why would you ask that? And I always thought, what, if I was the one asking the questions,
I would do it better.
Yeah, I would get a better answer. It would go a lot different. So being in that driver's seat is just a lot of fun. And, I listen to podcasts, obviously, long before our podcast, and I stay up late at night and I, sit outside on the porch. And one of my favorite podcasts ever was, shout out to Shelby Scott's Scary to Sleep podcast. It's one of the best horror podcasts out there. She's kind of a big deal. She was exclusive to Spotify. And I listened to her for probably like hundreds of hours, no lie. And then I had her on my podcast. And so it was just so crazy hearing her voice on my podcast and getting to talk to her and ask her questions. I was such a fanboy, and it showed in that podcast. And yeah, it's just so cool doing stuff like that, or watching people on YouTube and then just being a fan of what they do and then just reaching out to them on Instagram or wherever. And, some people are going to be like, no, some people are going to be like, F off. But most people are just, if they're not interested, they're probably not even going to reply back. Some people are interested for whatever reason. You just can't make it work schedule wise. Right. And then sometimes you can make it happen. And that's when the magic happens. So,
okay.
If you're into podcasting, if you want a podcast, or if you have a podcast and you want guests, don't be afraid to ask these people. Send them a message.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think you don't lose anything if you try. Like, well, what's going to happen? They're going to ignore you. Oh, not the first time that someone's left me on red. Exactly. It's not going to do anything to me. But you actually raise an interesting point. We deal with a lot of crazies talking to podcasts, like whether it's trying to get people on the show or whether people are being divas. Just kidding. Or whether just in general. A little bit. But in general, like there's a lot of unexpected twists and turns that come with having a guest on the show. So my question is, what has been the funniest or weirdest thing that has happened to you so far?
Like on the podcast?
Yeah, like with a guest, like whether it's like a crazy demand or whether it's like something you didn't expect.
Well, one time there was this guest on that was just like so like clearly drunk, and Cynthia might partake here and there, and it's no judgment. But when I podcast, unless I'm just doing it with like friends and this is like a thing and we're just gonna bring in the year and have a drink. Like I really like to focus in and hone in and not be like under the influence of stuff. Like I like to be on my A game,
Right.
And this episode was just so bad that Cynthia like made me take it down. You know what I mean?
You posted it and then you took it down.
Yeah. It was so bad. It was so bad. It was terrible. It was off the rails. There was no direction. I was just sitting there being quiet because it was just so awkward and I didn't know what to say. And
oh boy,
I'm glad that it happened because it was a learning experience for sure. You know what I mean? And it hasn't happened since. And I'm not saying that it like will never happen again, because obviously you don't know what's going to happen until you turn on the camera or the microphone and start recording and talk to these people. But that was bad. It was just like, you couldn't even get an answer out of this person. They were just mumbling because they were so drunk. They were just, like that. It was, and I try to keep it alive. I really did. I try to keep the life there, but it was just impossible. There was no bringing that podcast back to life. And
okay.
Yeah,
you beat me.
Yeah.
You did. I mean, my answer was nowhere near as insane as that. But I can't even imagine having someone who is like intoxicated on the show. Like, how do you even like? You have to be polite and be like continue, but at the same time, you're like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So my example is more about people trying like to be divas and like control the episode more. So I had one person who's like super popular on Instagram and she's got all these businesses and she's international. And she was like, you can't mention my brand. You can't mention my company. You can't mention what I'm an expert in, but we can talk. I'm like, what am I going to say? And she was like fully harassing me, like voice notes. When are we doing this? I'm traveling this week. I'm traveling that week. I need to be on this podcast. And I'm like, bro, I will get back to you, which obviously I never did. But it's like, my podcast is for me, run by me, created, everything to do with it is me. So I'm definitely not going to like heed to any demands of like, can't talk about my brand. Okay, where's the angle? The whole point is that you're a female entrepreneur. Can't talk about my area of expertise, even though it's really cool. And I'm traveling. So like make yourself fit in my schedule. And I've just had some real divas and I've been like, who are you to like talk to me like that? I don't work for you.
That's wild. Oh my goodness. And you have the power and you have the creative control to shut that down.
Exactly. I will leave you unread.
Exactly. Like you're not gonna bully me into like anything. You know what I mean?
Period. No, 100%. So where do you see yourself taking your podcast? Like what's kind of the next step for you?
I don't know. I was thinking like an exclusive $10 million a year Spotify contract, something along those lines.
Tell me when that happens.
I'm just gonna keep having fun.
Okay.
And I will do this for as long as I enjoy it. And whatever comes from that, comes from that. I mean, we've gotten a pretty decent following over the past couple of years. Lots of 5-star reviews, lots of downloads, like 2,500 Instagram followers or like close to it. So I'm very proud about that. I'm pretty proud of the people that support us and continue to listen, because the thing about starting a podcast is like when we started, Cynthia was telling all her friends, I was telling all my friends, everybody was super excited, right? Everybody, then when the allure of, your friend having a new podcast wears off, and this is no disrespect to anyone, but people are naturally that were there day one aren't going to be there 2 years later. And that's fine. Yeah. That's totally fine. But the ones that still are, almost 2 years. A year? We started September 2020, so a year and a half.
Wow.
So, but there are people that listen day one that still listen to us a year and a half later and still support us. And that means the world, like it really does. Like,
shout out to our moms.
Yeah. Shout out to my mom. Shout out to my little brother.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah. And then just seeing like, even now, like getting tagged in someone's story and seeing like the Weird Crew podcast sticker on their water bottle, like that still pops up from time to time.
I want to ask you about that. I saw your merchandise. How did that come into the whole project?
Well, I wanted a t-shirt basically. And I wanted to, I didn't care about making money, but I just wanted something unique to our podcast that wasn't like the podcast logo, or wasn't like, the Weird Crew podcast, the artwork. I didn't want that just to be like plastered on a t-shirt. I thought that would be like kind of, and no disrespect to anyone, that's just not the route that I wanted to go.
Right.
I wanted like a unique design for like the Weird Crew podcast. And so I have no artistic abilities. So what I have is I have an imagination that I feel like I can tell someone in detail kind of what I want. And so I hit up this guy on Fiverr.com, shout out. Such a great website to like
Fiverr?
Fiverr, Fiv. Yeah. So such a great website just to get stuff done, music made, photos, logos, business cards, like you name it. Like it's such a great website. And I just hit him up and I was like, all right, look, I was like, I want an alien, like riding a skateboard with like a haunted house in the back and a full moon. And it just came out like freaking amazing. The alien was holding like a little alien gun. And then he was on the skateboard, and there was like this creepy haunted house in the back with like a ghost and a full moon. And it was just
sounds like
everything.
A thriller music video.
It was nuts, but it was like, it was both like cute, creepy, and amazing, like all at once. Like just encompassed absolutely everything that I wanted. And like, so that started. And then we had a second t-shirt made, which that one I was like, all right, I want an alien on a skateboard again. And then I want him chasing a girl on the beach with a knife, and then like a wave in the background. Just like funny, like almost like 80s horror type of vibe, but just silly. And it came out silly and funny and like everything that I wanted. So those are the two t-shirts that we had made, exclusive to us, can't get them anywhere else. And then we've had a couple stickers made, which stickers have been a big hit. I still have tons of those. And then Sheena, who sets the record for most appearances on the podcast, our really good friend from London. She's been on 4 times. She had refrigerator magnets made for us. And so she sent them to us for my birthday. And so I've been able to give those refrigerator magnets out to like, not everybody, because I ain't got a lot of them. So if you're special, you get one. But it's just cool seeing, you never know, it might take a while to get there.
That's awesome.
By ship, but I might get you one. So it's just nice. It's just really cool. Like, one of my friends, Hector, he sent me a picture of me on his fridge above the ice maker, the refrigerator magnet. And he was like, I put you above the ice maker because you guys are crushing it. Yeah. All of my friends are just as lame as I am. What can I say?
Sounds like it. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today about kind of your story. I think that you've hit on some really important points that resonate with a lot of people, especially coming up with something new in lockdown and making sure that you're, doing something good for yourself. And the fact that you have a co-host in another state is amazing. I think that I personally, like, I've been following you for a while, I've been talking for a while. I'm definitely a huge fan of your podcast. I like the design, like the caricature, so to speak, the sketch of like what you guys look like. I think it's really cool. And yeah, I really enjoyed talking to you today.
Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed talking to you too. If you ever want to do a part 2, part 3, part 6, I can talk all day. I'm a little tired right now, but I wanted to power through for you. I really wanted to make this happen.
Thank you.
But I ain't gonna lie to you. When we shut this thing off, I'm about to sleep for like a solid 12 hours.
Maybe 14.
I ain't gonna shut it down.
Cool. Well, thanks for taking the time. I know that you just came off a red-eye flight, so really appreciate you finally doing this, and I'll speak soon.
Thank you, Sarah. It was a pleasure.
Thanks. Bye.